Hello, everyone. My name is always Asmal. Welcome to another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, powered by Bulldozer, a show where we talk career experiences, entrepreneurship, and investments. The main aim is to show that there's more than one way to be successful other than just climbing the corporate ladder. We are live on LinkedIn and YouTube, and the podcast will be available tomorrow morning. If you are joining us live, please drop a one in the comments so that we know we're not talking to ourselves, and drop a two in the comments if you're watching the recording. My guest for this week is Ashley Dicken, President of ABASA, the Association for the Advancement of Black Accountants in Southern Africa, and board member of CIPA and the Black Business Council. Mr. President, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks, my brother, for allowing me the opportunity to come through. I really enjoy your shows. I was just say that whenever I see that message coming through, I know that it's a very impactful leader and it's something that we can learn from. My turn came very quickly, but yeah, thank you so much for allowing me the platform. Looking forward to the discussion.
We appreciate you joining us. Let's jump straight into questions. So tell us your
Mm,
story. Where do you come from? And maybe outside of work, who is Ashley
yeah.
Dicken? Give us that story.
Cool, man. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ashley Dicken. I am the current president of ABASA. I come from Durban, born in a small town down the coast called Potchefstroom. I grew up in an area called Sydenham Heights, exposed to the normal drugs, gangsterism, etc. I was an avid soccer player then. I played soccer for Amazulu Juniors. I played there for 5 years, so it was a semi-professional experience. And then, unfortunately, I got stabbed in 20
Sorry.
when I was writing my matric year. But that actually changed my direction. Went in, studied BCom. First, I studied chartered secretaries, and then I found myself doing articles at a medium-sized audit firm. And from there, just kind of fell in love with the profession and made my way up to Johannesburg. Worked at KPMG for one of the KPMG for about 4 years, and from that I ventured into governance at a large financial institution, large banking institution, and there I really enjoyed it. I grew, learned a lot about leadership, learned a lot about corporate, learned a lot about digital, and in 2018, I left corporate through a Section 189, unfortunately, and that continued my entrepreneurial journey. I currently consult in the governance and risk and compliance space. I do a lot of ABASA work, and I also have a business in panel beating. I own an auto body repair shop, and that's my kind of entrepreneurial journey. But really, a lot of my time has been focused on ABASA and my consulting business. Yeah.
Okay, so you have your fingers in a lot of pots, which is what the youngsters of today are also doing. They're trying and they're testing out different things. I like it. I like it.
Yeah. So look, I think like living your for me it was scary leaving corporate, but I believe that when you are actually in you've got the skill, you've got the know-how. Everyone talks about entrepreneurship as this glamorous place to be in, but it's not actually that glamorous. It's hard work, a lot of sacrifice and commitment. I think you've seen it. We've had a chat about it. I mean, you consult a number of entrepreneurs, and you see what type of work goes into it. But I think for me, it's about my passion. I'm very grounded in the fact that you drive your own destiny, you create your own opportunities, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm enjoying it. To be quite honest, I'm enjoying my time. I'm enjoying my interactions. But I think, look, each man to himself. You got to have a certain, as I say, you got to grow hair in your teeth. But the rewards of it is it's so much great. I've met some amazing people, and also been in ABASA has grown me tremendously as an individual, as a person. I've got a great support system. My wife has really been a great support for me, and my family. And that's basically been my life for the past 2 years now, or so, going on to three. So really, really, really a privilege to also be part of, still be part of the profession. Yeah, so I'm really looking forward to the next 3 years. Don't know how that will change, but I think where it is now, I think I'll definitely have to work much harder to to maintain another 3 years.
I'm sure it'll come across
Mm,
quickly. As you mentioned, you're a Durban native. You must have
mm,
felt the recent looting spree that happened there and in KZN in general.
yeah.
What advice do you have for those who are rebuilding and maybe those outside of the province who want to help?
Yeah, man. I think the weekend before the looting happened, I was actually in Durban. We were looking at a business opportunity there. And it's just so sad that what has happened and how it's actually kind of transpired. But I must admit that I was actually quite pleased to see the attitudes of businesses of rebuilding some of the establishments, and how quickly, I mean, taxis had assembled themselves to assist people, volunteerism had come in. I think the spirit of Ubuntu had really kind of awakened then, for us to lend a hand. But I think on the flip side of it, we never waste a bad crisis. It's an opportunity to reset some of the economies that are there, the opportunities that are there. And I think organizations such as ABASA, play a very important role when it comes to financial advice. And I think this is where we are saying that where the opportunity kind of lies. We've recently just launched a business forum, an ABASA business forum, that consists of um, one or two men, small, medium practices, whether in the audit or consulting space. And that is a platform where we see as a kind of conduit between professionals and those that are in KZN. I've been chatting with the chairperson of KZN, and there's already groundwork that's happening, speaking to the various MECs and the premier of how ABASA can step in. But look, it's unfortunate what has happened. I think, today with the stats being released about the unemployment rate that has come out so high, particularly with the youth, we really have a really ticking time bomb on our hands. And, access to education, access to opportunities is something that government really needs to accelerate on it. And to allow those opportunities. And I strongly believe that, as cliched as it sounds, that entrepreneurship is really a stepping stone of allowing that. But it comes with a lot of kind of cutting the bureaucracy that comes with owning a business, and opportunities that need to be presented. So organizations, as I said, ABASA, BMF, ABSA, BBC, all need to kind of put behind it and kind of put the necessary pressure on government and on corporates to ensure that the market is open, and that we have an access to the opportunities that are there, and I think that has also been quite a drive within ABASA to establish the business forum. We've seen a lot of our members from a sensing perspective that they all, I mean, the biggest client that they have is public sector because of the BE credentials. And now we say, look, we need to pivot away from private sector into from public sector into private sector, so that you don't have a concentration risk of clients, and you're able to actually add more value. So we've recently just partnered with KPMG for our small and medium practices to audit alongside KPMG
Okay.
to kind of get that exposure in the private sector, and that seems to be going very well, and we're hoping to have more partnerships coming along. It's not only limited to KPMG, but it's a test case, and it's we've got a number of pilots running in there, and it's we're quite happy with the progress thus far. But we welcome these types of initiatives where ABASA plays the conduit or the platform between the two. But I think, look, it's, as I said, it's very sad what happened in Durban, and we hope that that the building of that economy happens at an accelerated speed. Yeah.
Thanks for that. I know this is also doing great work with Zero, so that's also going to make
Yes,
a big difference.
100%. Yeah.
For anyone who has any questions for Ashley, please add them to the comment section now so that we don't miss them. We'll be taking all our questions towards the end. Actually, ABASA as an organization has come a long way. I mean, it's helped assisted the country in making big strides in improving representation in the accounting profession. I remember, like many years ago, when I did articles in Cape Town, most of the people of color at the big auditing firms knew all the people of color at the big auditing firms. And so we've come a long way. It's improved a lot since then. So what's next for ABASA? What's your focus?
Look, it took about long, as accountants, we like to put numbers to it. ABASA is a 36-year-old organization. I like to say that ABASA is a 36-year-old startup, right? Because every year, look, I mean, with the pandemic that has happened, we've had to pivot away from our traditional way of engaging and networking, and everything on platforms. So you would see that we've created a lot of these forums. One of them is the business forum. We've created an academic forum. We've created a public sector forum, and that all feeds back into our pillars, which is education, transformation, and socioeconomic policy and transformation. And that's our cradle to grave approach as the organization. We're very deliberate in ensuring that education is an anchor for the organization, because that's the access to the integrated pipeline for the profession. So what we've started doing is starting our collaboration efforts. A lot of our stakeholders have collaborated with us, one being SAIGA, which we've just recently signed. You mentioned one with the Zero. So, these are kind of leverages as ABASA we're leveraging on to help us evangelize the accounting profession, if I'd like to say it. So over the next 3 to 5 years, in the short to medium plan, we're just establishing our presence, or re-establishing our presence. And one such of it is being the elevation of the women agenda. Towards the end of the month, we're holding a women's conference with some amazing topics. Very important that we pay attention to the women agenda within the profession and within society. So I think these social issues, together with the technical issues, are very important for the organization as a platform for our members to bring them forth, and for ABASA to advocate for it. We speak about the number of accountants that are out there. As ABASA, we've kind of played across the accountancy profession, not only focusing on CAs. We have quite a large engagement or a strong strategic relationship with SAIPA, South African Institute of Professional Accountants, as well as SAIGA, and we're having talks with other institutions for them to be part of this organization. Before it was just ABASA doing everything. We have kind of changed the model and changed the approach to say, let us collaborate more. Let's use the platform. Let's use ABASA as a conduit from an advocacy role to strengthen the profession. Yeah.
That's a good focus forward. The one place where, I mean, the numbers are nowhere near reflecting the demographics of the country is in leadership, corporate leadership, senior leadership. How can we improve the situation, or how can what can we do, or what can young professionals do to get involved and make a practical difference?
Look, I was just saddened to read today. I mean, with the CEO of Woolworths saying that it's almost a demoted in focus food, and that was a prime example of what corporate SA is doing to black leaders. You know, we've seen what happened at ABSA, we've seen what happened at African Bank, and there's many horror stories that are out there. And I think this just reinforces the mandate of organizations like ABASA, like BMF, and ABSA to hold those corporates accounts. You know, we've seen a reverse in the leadership roles that black leaders have played, and it's not reflective. Let's be honest, it's not reflective, and it cannot continue in this way. So enforcing some form of responsibility when it comes to those that are sitting on the boards, the shareholders. I mean, PIC plays a big role in dictating this, who sits on the board, etc. So we advocacy groups need to hold governments accountable and force regulation on them. And I think BE and EE has played a certain amount of role, but when it comes to the corporate leadership, it's really disappointing to see our black talents being sacrificial lambs when it comes to corporate leadership. In terms of ensuring that there's an integrated pipeline, yes, organizations like ABASA do play a big role, but we got to always go and cap in hand to corporates to fund initiatives. Organizations don't run on pure volunteerism. There is some form of investment in back office, in administration, in platforms to ensure that it is running. And yes, we do work with passion, but at the same time, that there is some expenses that need to come, and we want to see more of corporates coming together and assisting us. We always say that ABASA is an extension of a transformation journey of the firm. So you would probably see a more aggressive ABASA coming up in the future, given the fact that the demographics don't, the results of the leadership don't reflect the demographics. So until those numbers are reversed, you'll always hear ABASA screaming and jumping and engaging with stakeholders to ensure that there is a seat at the table for us. So I think, look, to answer your question, that we're not happy with the state of executives, particularly at CFO and CEO level. I think that really needs to start changing, and we will be watching those quite closely.
What I find quite interesting is when I was also working in corporate, that nobody talks about entrepreneurship in corporate. There's this whole world out there that's basically limited. That especially if you come from a disadvantaged background, nobody's talking about entrepreneurship. We always just, okay, we need to get to that CFO or that CEO role. And there's a big opportunity outside of corporate also for people who are considering that.
Yeah, look, I mean, quite interesting. Where I was in my corporates, there was something called entrepreneurship, where you are still part of a corporate, but you're allowed to become an entrepreneur with an IN, rather than an entrepreneur. And I think that very importantly, yes, you have to you give your pound of flesh to the corporates, but with the skill set that we do have and opportunities that are there, I suppose the job security market and how would I say it? The way that entrepreneurship has been perceived out there, that it's easy, that that the flashiness on the Instagrams or Facebooks really doesn't butter down to what actually happens on the ground. But I guess the other part about it is the reforms in the economy. We've got an economy that's very gated, that's not allowing young entrepreneurs to come in. Really about networking, who you know, I suppose to a certain extent, and also access to finance. Our current credit models don't allow young entrepreneurs to come in and get the support that's actually needed to start a new venture. So when I look into the future of entrepreneurship, I really, kind of wonder what is the next skill set that you'd need. And everyone will tell you it's digital, it's all of those things. But there's completely other sectors that are untransformed, like the sector that I'm in that I kind of stumbled upon. Automotive industry is very untransformed. We need more people of color there, especially females owning the value chain in that sector. And I think this is where government needs to use that as an opportunity to reform the credit models of allowing access to finance for young entrepreneurs to actually access. And I suppose also taking a step from a school perspective, what is that looking like? How do we start inspiring entrepreneurs to come in? I think that's the focus that we've kind of looked at when ABASA established the business forum. I've got a very good friend. His name is Larato, and he owns a small medium practice, and he really inspired this whole objective of getting smaller firms to come together, because I think entrepreneurship is where we can create the next Black Indigenous Black firm, and he's really inspired a lot of the work that we've been doing. So we need that inspiration that comes from our peers, from people within the space to get the entrepreneurship going. Everyone talks about a side hustle. Yeah, when you're working in corporate, a side hustle is very important, keeps the mind active. But once that side hustle starts gaining legs or gaining momentum, you got to take that leap of faith, and ask the wife for a year off. Nah.
Yeah. Quite interesting. You mentioned the different sectors that are untransformed, and I can think of a few other ones as well. But just moving on to the next question is, what's one piece of advice you would give your younger self? Coming from that question that you gave us your backstory and that big
Yeah,
pivot you had in matric. What's that one piece
yeah.
of advice you would give your younger self?
I think where we come from, there's a lot of doubt that comes with being poor, right? And the fact that you come from a impoverished community makes you um, less how can I say it? You almost feel
Confidence.
that you
Less
that
confidence.
yeah, I suppose confidence. You doubt your skill, you doubt yourself. I would constantly. I had the opportunity to play for Amazulu, which is a professional, semi-professional. Well, semi-professional. I was playing for the juniors, and I think that gave me the confidence that if I can crack the nod into the squad of 18 every year, I can do anything. And I think that for me was my saving grace. And unfortunately, not a lot of youth have that opportunity to play sports or to play at that particular level. But what I would tell myself is that I think I believe that I can do anything that I put my mind to. I think we kind of limit ourselves to the society that we have actually come from. And my advice to my younger self is that don't doubt yourself. Whatever you put your mind to, you can achieve. And it's I always used to say nothing great was ever achieved without enthusiasm. So I kind of held on to those kind of affirmations when I was growing up. So I think, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. So I think within you, you've got a spirit of survival and of success. And I think for me, that's really just, I would tell myself growing up that, you can do anything, I suppose, yeah.
You can do anything. And it's a pity you said Amazulu and not African Wanderers. I would have asked you if you had some contacts that I can speak to.
I don't think there's any. I don't think there's an African Wanderers.
No, but
They played it away.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is,
Like, I mean, yeah, definitely. Yeah. We actually
let
played against. We actually played against the youth. We played against your Cape Town team, the Santos.
when we
And
were
then
so good at the time.
yeah, when you guys are still good, then yeah, yeah.
Let's move over to some questions. I just want to go check and see if there's any questions coming from the audience. We've got a question from Dumisani. Dumisani
Mm.
says, when talking about reforms in the profession, the focus is largely on external audit. Do you think that comprehensive regulation is necessary to reform or to restore trust in the profession and advance transformation and inclusivity?
Sure. Look, I mean, I think external audit has really been hit hard from the public, the loss of public trust, and if you look at why auditors specifically are employed is to provide assurance on the financial statements, and when auditors trade that trust, there's almost like a kind of a bad notion towards auditors when auditors only give they don't give absolute, they give reasonable assurance to the processes, and a lot kind of dwindles around the directors of the company obviously presenting the financial statements. So I'm not going to go into auditing 101, but I think from a regulative perspective, and there has been some talk about regulating the accounting profession, or meaning that cyber under one regulator. And I think the history of IRBA was that they would start with the audit profession and slowly kind of regulate the accounting profession and the internal auditors. And I think, look, I mean, it's something that we need to look at, because it's not only auditors that are also are on the line here, but I mean, the large aspect of it is the governance around the auditing. But I think reforms around, what internal auditors, I mean, there is a code of conduct when it comes to internal auditing. They also play a crucial role when it comes to certain lines of defenses and assurances on these financial statements. So I think, it's a debate that we need to have, how far regulation will go, but you don't want to be over-regulated. We need to be absolutely agile as a business, but particularly as also as a profession. At the end of the day, yes, it is a business that you are running, but there has to be some form of inherent kind of code of ethics that comes with it. And I think we all know that at one stage, our profession was number one in the world, given the dilemmas and the trust the deficit that we've seen. That has come down to to something that's there. And yes, transformation and inclusivity. It's not only an ABASA problem. I think it's also corporates. They also need to play a role of ensuring that transformation and inclusivity is top of agenda when it comes to the profession at large. Yeah,
Definitely answered the question. We've got a question from Ashka. Entrepreneurship is a very interesting concept. How do you, as an employee, promote it from within?
Look, I think where I was, the leadership was very advanced. They really drove this from an innovation perspective. When you are kind of your traditional models are stuck in one way, who better to try and transform it than consultants? Is people who do it every day. There's better ways to do things. So I think as an entrepreneur, being as you're in a corporate, you can find opportunities. You can see where revenue opportunities are. What are those revenue opportunities that can come to the firm or to the company? and also look at different business opportunities. I think the better part of it is not only from your board of directors or your CEO, it's the normal man that's on the ground, your clerk or your supervisor that sees that there's opportunity. So I think you got to develop a culture of that. So, once you develop a culture of entrepreneurship, I mean, entrepreneurship in the firm actually becomes as a byproduct of that. So when you drive that as a leader, you automatically see the change in the shift in the culture.
Ashley, any last few words from you, or anything we didn't discuss that you want the audience to know?
No, look, I think as being part of ABASA, I think it's really allowed me to kind of change a bit, and I invite all aspiring accountants, aspiring auditors, students to be part of this movement. We are hosting a women conference that's at the end of the month, towards the end of the month. So follow ABASA National on LinkedIn, on Instagram, where you can see the lineup. We've kind of changed the method of approaching it. And I think as ABASA, look, we're really using our collaborative approach and leveraging off those stakeholders that are within the profession and those that are outside of the profession to advance the profession. Yeah.
Thanks so much, Ashley. Reminder to everyone, the show is live on YouTube and will be available on podcast tomorrow. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast and you feel it's added value, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you get automatically notified when the next episode comes out. Ashley, thanks so much for your time.
No, thank you, man. Thanks, my brother. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us for another episode of Tooways to Skin a Cat, powered by Bulldozer. Goodbye.